Olivia stood in the small room that had been set up for her broadcast to the alien ships. Technicians moved around her, checking equipment and giving her instructions she barely heard. Her mind was racing, trying to figure out what to say to an alien ambassador she had somehow deeply offended. "We're ready when you are, Lieutenant," said Dr. Samantha Wells, the linguist who had been coaching Olivia for the past few hours. "Remember, be respectful but not submissive. We need to understand what happened without appearing weak." Olivia nodded and took a deep breath. The camera light turned green and she was live, broadcasting to the alien ships above and to screens all over Earth. "Ambassador Nixara, this is Lieutenant Olivia Keller. I am responding to your request for communication." The screen in front of her remained black for several seconds. Then it flickered and Nixara appeared, those strange nebula eyes focused intensely on Olivia. "Lieutenant Keller, you have come to beg for mercy." Olivia swallowed hard but kept her voice steady. "I have come to understand. In our culture, noticing someone's appearance can be a form of appreciation. If I offended you, it was not my intent." For the first time, Nixara showed something resembling surprise. The alien's smooth forehead wrinkled slightly and those color-shifting eyes widened. Appreciation, not dominance assertion? Now it was Olivia's turn to be confused. Dominance? No, not at all. I was simply surprised by our meeting. Your appearance was unexpected, but not in a negative way. Nixara was silent for a long moment, studying Olivia with those unsettling eyes. When the alien spoke again, there was a new tone in the perfectly formed English words. "This requires further discussion. I will meet with you in person." The screen went dark again. Behind Olivia, the room erupted in voices. "In person? Is that a good idea? We can't risk sending her to their ship. But we can't bring one of them here either." Admiral Porter raised her hand for silence. "This is progress. They want to talk instead of attack. That's good. Now we need a neutral meeting place." Dr. Wells stepped forward. "Mars, it's neutral ground. Neither Earth nor their ships. We have the Mars colony base, but it's mostly automated now with minimal crew. We could arrange a meeting there." Porter nodded slowly. "It could work. Lieutenant, are you willing to go to Mars to meet this ambassador?" Olivia looked at the blank screen where Nixara's face had been moments before. The fate of Earth depended on her fixing whatever mistakes she had made. "Yes, Admiral. I'll go." Preparations moved quickly after that. Within 6 hours, Olivia found herself on a military shuttle heading for Mars. Accompanied by Dr. Wells and a small security team led by Captain Diane Fuller, a stern woman with hard eyes who clearly didn't trust the aliens. "Remember," Dr. Wells said as they approached the red planet, "their physiology may perceive micro-expressions we aren't even aware of making. From what little we saw, they seem to read intent more than words." "Great," Olivia muttered. "So I might offend them again without even knowing it. Just be honest," Wells advised. "That seems to have worked so far." The shuttle landed at the Mars colony, a collection of domed buildings connected by tunnels, built into the side of Olympus Mons, the largest mountain in the solar system. Most of the station was run by robots, with only a small human crew for maintenance. Now it would be the site of humanity's first formal meeting with an alien species. As they suited up for the walk to the neutral meeting dome, Captain Fuller checked her weapon one last time. "You're not bringing that," Olivia said firmly. "This is a peaceful meeting." Fuller's face hardened. "With all due respect, Lieutenant, those ships could wipe out Earth with a thought. I'm not walking in unarmed." "If they wanted to kill us, they would have done it already," Olivia replied. "Leave the gun, Captain." "That's an order." Fuller looked like she wanted to argue, but finally nodded stiffly and put the weapon away. The walk across the Martian surface was short but tense. The red dust swirled around their boots as they approached the clear dome structure, where the meeting would take place. Through the transparent walls, Olivia could already see a figure waiting inside. Once inside, they removed their helmets. The air was thin but breathable. Ambassador Nixara stood alone in the center of the room, wearing what looked like a close-fitting suit of some shimmering material. Up close, the alien was taller than Olivia had expected, nearly 7 feet with a slender build. The blue skin pulsed with subtle patterns of light that seemed to move beneath the surface. "Lieutenant Keller," the alien said, that melodious voice now unfiltered by communications equipment. "You have come alone?" "These are my advisors," Olivia replied, gesturing to Wells and Fuller. "Dr. Wells is a linguist and Captain Fuller is here for security." Nixara's eyes shifted color, becoming more purple than blue. "Security implies fear." "Caution," Olivia corrected. This is our first meeting with your kind. Some caution is natural. As is observation, Nixara said, those strange eyes fixed on Olivia. Which brings us to the reason for this meeting. You commented on my appearance, Olivia nodded. I did. In our culture, such comments are often just observations, sometimes compliments. I'm curious why this was seen as offensive to your people. Nixara moved closer, those lights beneath the blue skin pulsing faster. In the stellar sovereignty, commenting on physical appearance is the first step in an ancient dominance ritual, a prelude to war. By noticing my features specifically, you unknowingly challenge the entire sovereignty to combat. Olivia felt her heart sink. Such a simple misunderstanding with such massive consequences. I had no idea. In our culture, noticing someone can be the beginning of understanding, even friendship. Friendship? Nixara repeated the word as if testing it. The alien's eyes shifted to a deep violet color Olivia hadn't seen before. An unusual concept among spacefaring species, is it? Olivia asked. Do other species you've encountered not form friendships? Most species we encounter attempt to dominate or flee, Nixara replied. Your reaction is unusual. Dr. Wells stepped forward slightly. Ambassador, if I may, it seems we have very different cultural contexts. Perhaps we could learn more about each other's customs to avoid future misunderstandings. Nixara turned those unsettling eyes to Wells. A reasonable suggestion. Your species intrigues me. You speak without calculation, yet your words carry unexpected depths. The tension in the room eased slightly. For the next hour, they exchanged information about basic customs and greeting protocols. Olivia learned that direct eye contact was seen as challenging in sovereign culture, while looking at someone's hands was a sign of respect. The lights beneath Nixara's skin, she discovered, were a form of emotional expression, like human facial expressions but more complex. As the meeting progressed, Nixara revealed more about the stellar sovereignty, a collection of star systems governed by a council of representatives from different species. Humans were not the first to accidentally challenge them, but they were the first to respond with offers of understanding rather than shows of force. Your kind fascinates me. Lieutenant, Nixara said as the meeting drew to a close, you declared war accidentally, yet you face me alone, unarmed. Not war, Olivia corrected carefully. And not alone. I represent billions of humans who want to live in peace. Nixara's skin pulsed with a new pattern, concentric circles of light spreading outward from the center of the alien's chest. Peace, another concept that varies between cultures. What does it mean to your people? Olivia asked. Absence of challenge, Nixara replied, which brings us to our current situation. Your accidental challenge has created a problem for both our peoples. Olivia felt a chill. Despite the progress they seemed to be making, the threat to Earth remained. What can we do to resolve this peacefully? Nixara was silent for a long moment, those strange eyes studying Olivia intently. I must consult with the Sovereignty Council. We will meet again tomorrow. Perhaps there is a way forward that neither of us has considered yet. As they walked back to their shuttle, Captain Fuller moved close to Olivia. I don't trust them, Lieutenant. This talk of challenges and dominance, they're predators. Maybe, Olivia admitted, but they're talking to us instead of attacking. That's something. Dr. Wells looked thoughtful. Did you notice how the ambassador's eyes changed color when you mentioned friendship? I think we surprised them. That could work in our favor. Olivia nodded, watching the red dust of Mars swirl around their feet. Tomorrow they would meet again, and perhaps find a way to save Earth from her accidental declaration of war. For now, all they could do was hope that understanding might grow between two very different peoples from two very different worlds. Olivia couldn't sleep that night in the cramped quarters of the Mars colony. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw Nixara's face and those strange, color-shifting eyes studying her. The fate of Earth hung in the balance, all because she had made a simple comment about an alien's appearance. Morning came, though on Mars, with its thin atmosphere, the sunrise lacked the colorful drama of Earth's. Olivia dressed in her formal uniform for the second meeting with Nixara. Dr. Wells had given her a small earpiece, so they could communicate during the meeting if needed. Ready? Captain Fuller asked as they prepared to leave for the meeting dome. Olivia nodded, though she didn't feel ready at all. Remember, no weapons. Fuller's jaw tightened, but she nodded. As ordered, Lieutenant. When they reached the dome, Nixara was already there, this time with a small device floating beside her, a sphere about the size of a baseball that pulsed with the same bioluminescent patterns as the alien's skin. Lieutenant Keller, Nixara greeted her. I have consulted with the Sovereignty Council. And? Olivia asked, trying to keep the nervous edge from her voice. They are confused by your species. Your response to our ultimatum does not match any known pattern of behavior among spacefaring civilizations. The alien's skin rippled with light. I have been authorized to share information with you. Information that may explain our current situation more clearly. The floating sphere expanded suddenly, projecting a three-dimensional image in the center of the dome. Olivia gasped. It showed a star system she didn't recognize with multiple planets orbiting a bright star. Then something dark moved across the image, a mass of shifting, shadowy forms that seemed to devour everything in their path. The void hegemony, Nixara said, her voice lower than before. Entities that consume entire star systems. They are why the Sovereignty fleet is in your sector of space. Olivia stared at the image, watching as the dark mass engulfed one of the planets completely. You're running from them? Strategic retreat, Nixara corrected, those strange eyes flashing briefly. The Sovereignty seeks defensible positions and potential allies before the hegemony reaches this region of space. Allies? Olivia repeated. Is that what this is about? You need our help? The sphere contracted, the image disappearing. The Sovereignty needs no one's help, Lieutenant, but additional resources are always valuable in conflict. Olivia tried to make sense of this new information, so when I accidentally challenged you, it complicated your plans to… What? Recruit Earth as an ally? To assess Earth's potential usefulness, Nixara replied. Your challenge triggered ancient protocols that could not be ignored, but now the Council sees a possible advantage in this situation. What kind of advantage? Nixara moved closer, those lights beneath her blue skin pulsing in complex patterns. Your species shows unusual traits. Defiance without aggression, curiosity without calculation. You face superior force yet seek understanding rather than surrender. Is that so unusual? Olivia asked. Very, Nixara replied. Most species we encounter either attack immediately or submit completely. Yours does neither. Dr. Wells spoke through Olivia's earpiece. Ask about their experiences with other species. Have you encountered many other intelligent species in your travels? Olivia asked. Nixara's eyes shifted to a greenish hue. The Sovereignty includes 7 species across 23 star systems. We have encountered 14 other space-capable civilizations in our history. And how many of those encounters ended peacefully? The alien was silent for a moment. 3. The others chose conflict and were either defeated or fled beyond our territory. Captain Fuller tensed beside Olivia. The odds didn't sound good for peaceful resolution. What happens now? Olivia asked. Your fleet still threatens Earth, but you're telling me about a greater threat coming our way. Where does that leave us? At a crossroads, Nixara replied. The Council has authorized me to offer a proposal. Instead of subjugation, an alliance, conditional on certain terms. Hope sparked in Olivia's chest. What terms? Earth would provide resources and fighters for the coming conflict with the void hegemony. In return, the Sovereignty would share certain technologies and include your solar system under our protection. That sounds more like a protection racket than an alliance, Captain Fuller muttered. Nixara's head turned sharply toward Fuller, those strange eyes narrowing. You object to survival, Captain? I object to being threatened into cooperation, Fuller replied, not backing down. Olivia shot Fuller a warning look before turning back to Nixara. What my colleague means is that true alliances are built on mutual respect, not ultimatums. We would need to discuss these terms with our leaders. Of course, Nixara said. But be aware, Lieutenant, the void hegemony does not negotiate. They consume. Without the Sovereignty's protection, your world will fall when they arrive. When will that be? Olivia asked. Based on their current trajectory, within one of your Earth years. The information hit Olivia like a physical blow. 1 year until Earth faced a threat even worse than the Sovereignty fleet currently orbiting it. I need to report this to my superiors, she said finally. Can we meet again tomorrow? Nixara nodded, a human gesture that looked strange coming from the alien. Tomorrow. But know this, Lieutenant. While your leaders debate, the hegemony advances. Time is a luxury neither of us possesses in abundance. Back at their temporary quarters in the Mars colony, Olivia established a secure connection with Admiral Porter on Earth. So they're running from something worse, and now they want us to join them in fighting it. Porter summarized after Olivia's report. Convenient timing. The threat looks real, Admiral, Olivia replied. You should have seen the images they showed us. Images can be faked, Lieutenant, Porter reminded her. But even if this void hegemony is real, we're being asked to choose between two alien powers who both see us as little more than resources. Dr. Wells joined the conversation. If I may, Admiral, I believe Ambassador Nixara is being genuine, at least in part. The subtle changes in skin luminescence and eye coloration suggest sincerity when discussing the hegemony threat. You're basing that assessment on alien physiology we barely understand. Doctor, Porter said, but her tone was thoughtful rather than dismissive. What are our options? Olivia asked. Porter sighed, the sound crackling over the connection. Limited. We've been analyzing the sovereignty ships in orbit. Their technology is far beyond ours. If they decide to attack, we couldn't stop them. But surrender without verification of this other threat seems equally dangerous. We need more information, Olivia said, both about the sovereignty and this hegemony they're running from. Agreed, Porter replied. In your next meeting, see if you can get more concrete details about both. And Lieutenant, be careful. You've done well so far, but we're still walking a very thin line here. After the call ended, Olivia sat staring at the blank screen. Captain Fuller entered the room and sat across from her. They're lying, Fuller said flatly. This void hegemony story is just to scare us into compliance. Maybe, Olivia admitted. But what if it's true? What if there really is something worse coming? Then we're stuck between two enemies, Fuller replied. But at least with the sovereignty we know what we're facing. Olivia nodded slowly. Tomorrow I'll try to get more concrete information. Something we can verify if possible. And if they won't provide it, then we'll have our answer, Olivia said grimly. That night, Olivia dreamed of Earth surrounded by the strange dark mass she had seen in Nixara's projection, a shadowy hunger that devoured everything in its path. She woke up sweating, despite the cool temperature of the Mars colony. By the time she reached the meeting dome the next morning, she had made up her mind. They needed to know more, and she was going to get answers one way or another. Nixara was waiting, those strange eyes watching Olivia as she entered the dome alone. Where are your companions? The alien asked. I thought we might speak more freely alone, Olivia replied. Ambassador, I need to understand what we're really facing here, both from the sovereignty and from this hegemony you're fleeing. Nixara's skin pulsed with a new pattern of light. Fleeing is not accurate, Lieutenant. Strategic repositioning is more correct. Call it what you want, Olivia said more boldly than she felt. But I need proof, not just of the hegemony's existence, but of your intentions toward Earth. My people won't agree to an alliance based on threats and vague promises of protection. For a long moment, Nixara was silent, those color-shifting eyes studying Olivia intently. Then the alien made a gesture with one six-fingered hand, and the floating sphere expanded again. Perhaps this will help you understand what we all face, Nixara said. The sphere projected a new image, a recording, Olivia realized, of a battle. Sovereignty ships, identical to those now orbiting Earth, fought against the dark, shifting mass she had seen before. The recording showed ships being engulfed, crews being consumed by shadow-like entities that moved through solid walls as if they weren't there. This was the Andari system. 3 cycles ago, Nixara said quietly. 2 billion sentient beings lost. An entire civilization erased. The images were horrifying. Olivia felt her stomach twist as she watched the slaughter. What are they? These hegemony creatures? The shuttle ride back to Earth was tense. Olivia sat quietly, staring out at the stars and wondering if she had done enough to buy Earth some time. Beside her, Dr. Wells reviewed her notes on sovereign communication patterns, while Captain Fuller sat rigid in her seat, eyes fixed straight ahead. You trust them too much, Fuller said suddenly, breaking the silence. These aliens show up, threaten our planet, then conveniently tell us about a bigger threat to make themselves look like saviors. And you're falling for it. I don't trust them completely, Olivia replied calmly. But I do believe the threat is real. You saw the recordings? Recordings can be faked, Fuller snapped. Even on Earth, we can create convincing simulations. Who knows what their technology can do? Dr. Wells looked up from her notes. Captain, While skepticism is healthy, the physiological responses I observed in Ambassador Nixara suggest genuine concern when discussing the hegemony. There were subtle patterns in the bioluminescence that would be difficult to fake consistently. Fuller snorted. You're basing that assessment on alien biology you've studied for all of 2 days. Would you prefer we just prepare for war with both alien forces? Olivia asked, frustration edging into her voice. Because that's our alternative. Fuller had no answer for that, and the rest of the journey passed in uncomfortable silence. When they landed on Earth, Admiral Porter was waiting with a small security detail. Her face was grim. The Sovereignty ships have moved, she said without preamble. They've pulled back to a higher orbit just as you requested. Olivia felt a surge of hope. That's good news. It means they're considering our proposal. Porter nodded, but her expression remained serious. Maybe. Or they're repositioning for something else. Follow me. The president is waiting. Olivia hadn't expected to brief the president directly. She smoothed her uniform nervously as they were escorted to a secure underground facility. Inside, the president sat at the head of a long table surrounded by military leaders and government officials. Olivia recognized the Secretary of Defense and several Joint Chiefs. Lieutenant Keller, the president said, gesturing for her to sit. I understand we have you to thank for this temporary reprieve. I wouldn't call it that, Madam President, Olivia replied. The Sovereignty is still assessing our proposal, but moving their ships is a positive sign. For the next hour, Olivia briefed the assembled leaders on everything she had learned about the stellar sovereignty and the void hegemony. She described Nixara, the cultural misunderstanding that had started the crisis and the potential alliance against a common enemy. So they need us, the Secretary of Defense said when she finished. Or at least they think we might be useful cannon fodder against this hegemony. I don't think that's entirely fair, Olivia replied. Ambassador Nixara seemed genuinely interested in Earth as a potential ally, not just as a resource. Based on what? One of the Joint Chiefs asked skeptically. Dr. Wells stepped forward. Based on physiological responses and communication patterns that suggest sincerity. The ambassador showed signs of what we might call respect when discussing Lieutenant Keller's negotiation approach. The president tapped her fingers on the table thoughtfully. Regardless of their motives, we need to decide how to proceed. If this hegemony is real and arriving within a year, we need all the help we can get. But we can't simply surrender our sovereignty to these aliens either. The ambassador has proposed an exchange, Olivia said. They want access to our military facilities and information about our defensive capabilities. The defense secretary shook his head firmly. Absolutely not. That would leave us completely vulnerable. What if we counter with a more limited exchange? Olivia suggested. Selected scientific and military personnel working together in a neutral location. Perhaps the Mars colony. We share some information but maintain our independence. The president nodded slowly. It's worth considering. Admiral Porter put together a delegation of our best people. Scientists, military strategists, diplomats, people who can assess whether this alliance is viable and what we stand to gain or lose. And if the sovereignty rejects our counteroffer? Porter asked. Then we prepare for the worst, the president replied grimly. But let's hope it doesn't come to that. As the meeting broke up, Admiral Porter pulled Olivia aside. You'll be returning to Mars with the delegation. You've established a rapport with this Ambassador Nixara, and we need to maintain that connection. Olivia nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle more heavily on her shoulders. When do we leave? 48 hours, Porter replied. We need time to assemble the right team and prepare them for what they'll be facing. Those 48 hours passed in a blur of briefings and preparations. The delegation eventually consisted of 12 people. 3 military officers, including Olivia, 4 scientists, including Dr. Wells, 3 diplomats, and 2 intelligence analysts. Captain Fuller was also assigned to the team. Despite Olivia's private concerns about her hostile attitude toward the aliens, as they prepared to board the shuttle for Mars, Admiral Porter handed Olivia a small data drive. This contains selected information about Earth's defensive systems, enough to show good faith, but nothing that would compromise us completely if things go wrong. Understood, Admiral, Olivia said, securing the drive in her uniform pocket. Porter gripped Olivia's shoulder firmly. You've done well so far, Lieutenant. Keep it up. The fate of our world may depend on it. No pressure, Olivia thought wryly as she boarded the shuttle. The journey to Mars was quiet, each member of the delegation lost in their own thoughts about the unprecedented mission ahead of them. Olivia spent much of the time reviewing what she knew about Nixara and sovereign customs, determined not to make another cultural misstep. When they arrived at the Mars colony, they found that the sovereignty had sent their own delegation. 3 aliens waited in the main dome, Nixara and 2 others with similar blue skin but different patterns of bioluminescence. Lieutenant Keller, Nixara greeted her. The council has agreed to your proposal for discussions. These are Councilors Zevnar and Talon who will assist in our negotiations. Olivia introduced the Earth delegation, carefully watching the aliens' reactions. The 2 new sovereignty representatives seemed more reserved than Nixara, their eyes shifting colors less frequently as they observed the humans. We have prepared quarters for your delegation, Nixara continued. We will begin formal discussions tomorrow after you have rested. As the humans were shown to their accommodations, Captain Fuller moved close to Olivia. 3 of them, 12 of us. They're not taking this seriously. Or they're more efficient, Dr. Wells countered. Remember, their technology is far beyond ours. 3 representatives might be standard for them. Fuller looked unconvinced but said nothing more. That night, Olivia couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the recordings Nixara had shown her, the dark, shifting mass of the hegemony consuming everything in its path. If that threat was real, then Earth needed the sovereignty's help. But trusting an alien civilization that had initially threatened them was a dangerous gamble. Morning came, and the delegations met in the central dome. The humans sat on one side of a large circular table, the 3 sovereignty representatives on the other. Nixara opened the discussion. The Council has reviewed your proposal for a limited alliance against the Void hegemony. We are prepared to share certain technologies that will help Earth prepare for the coming conflict. One of the diplomats, Linda Chen, leaned forward. And what do you expect in return, Ambassador? Access to Earth's resources, the alien named Zevnar replied, eyes shifting to a cold blue. Rare metals, water, atmospheric compounds, and human fighters for the front lines. A murmur ran through the Earth delegation. Captain Fuller's face hardened. You want us to send our people to die for you? She asked sharply. For us all, Nixara corrected. The hegemony threatens every living being in this sector of space. Your people would fight alongside sovereignty forces, not instead of them. Linda Chen raised a hand to calm the tension. Perhaps we should focus first on information exchange. Before committing resources or personnel, we need to understand exactly what we're facing. The discussions continued for hours, with both sides carefully dancing around their true concerns. The sovereignty representatives wanted details about Earth's military capabilities and resource reserves. The Earth delegation wanted proof of the hegemony threat and specifics about what technologies the sovereignty would share. By evening, they had made little progress. As the meeting adjourned for the day, Olivia felt a growing sense of frustration. They were running out of time, yet neither side seemed willing to take the first step toward true cooperation. As the Earth delegation filed out, Nixara approached Olivia. Lieutenant, would you walk with me? There are matters I wish to discuss privately. Olivia nodded, ignoring Captain Fuller's warning look. They walked to a small observation dome that looked out over the Martian landscape, the red planet's sunset casting long shadows across the dusty surface. Your delegation does not trust us, Nixara said once they were alone. Can you blame them? Olivia replied. You came to our system with warships and threats. Chaos erupted in the command center. The Earth delegation crowded around the monitors, watching as the dark object approached Mars with frightening speed. Nixara and the other sovereignty representatives spoke rapidly in their own language, their skin flashing with urgent patterns of light. How is this possible? One of the Earth scientists asked. You said we had a year before the hegemony reached our system. Scouts travel ahead of the main force, Nixara explained, turning those strange eyes toward the humans. They seek weaknesses, map defenses, prepare for the coming consumption. On the screen, the object slowed as it entered Mars orbit. Now they could see it more clearly, a shifting mass of darkness that seemed to absorb the light around it, similar to what Olivia had seen in the recordings, but smaller. Can your ships defend us? Linda Chen asked, her diplomatic composure cracking slightly. The nearest sovereignty vessel is 4 hours away, Nixara replied. We must protect ourselves until then. Captain Fuller stepped forward, her face grim. What weapons do we have here? The Mars colony was built for research, not warfare, one of the scientists replied. We have minimal defensive capabilities. Nixara's skin pulsed with a new pattern, rapid flashes of light that spread across the blue surface. We have limited defenses as well, but together perhaps enough to hold off one scout. What about evacuation? Olivia asked. Can we get our people to the shuttles? The scout would target any ship trying to leave, replied Zevnar, one of the other sovereignty representatives. Our best chance is to defend the colony directly. For the next hour, humans and aliens worked side by side, preparing whatever defenses they could muster. The sovereignty representatives revealed technology they had brought with them, energy shields that could be placed around key sections of the colony and weapons that fired pulses of focused radiation. Captain Fuller organized the human security personnel, positioning them at strategic points throughout the colony. Dr. Wells worked with the sovereignty aliens to understand how their defensive technology functioned, looking for ways to integrate it with the colony's systems. Olivia found herself working directly with Nixara, trying to establish communication with Earth and the sovereignty fleet. We need to warn them, she said as they worked. If scouts are already here, the main force can't be far behind. The hegemony disrupts standard communications, Nixara replied, those strange fingers moving rapidly over an alien control panel. But there are other methods. The alien pulled out a small device, a crystal that glowed with an inner light. This can send a quantum-entangled message that the hegemony cannot block. But it requires significant energy to activate. The colony has backup power generators, Olivia suggested. Would that be enough? Nixara's eyes shifted to that deep violet color. Perhaps, but there is another option. The alien hesitated, then continued. The neural link I proposed, it could also serve as a communication conduit. With our minds connected, we could reach the sovereignty fleet more quickly. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. The idea of linking minds with an alien was unsettling enough when it was just about building trust. Now it might be their only chance to call for help. How would it work? She asked. Nixara held up the crystal. This device facilitates the connection. Our consciousnesses would partially merge, allowing us to communicate across vast distances through quantum entanglement. The sovereignty ships would detect the signal and respond. Captain Fuller, who had returned to check on their progress, overheard the conversation. Lieutenant, you can't seriously be considering this. It's too dangerous. What choice do we have? Olivia replied. If we can't call for help, we're all dead anyway. Fuller's face hardened. We don't even know if this hegemony scout is real. This could all be an elaborate trap to get you to agree to this mind link. You think they faked a hegemony scout? Olivia asked incredulously. I think we shouldn't trust anything they say, Fuller replied. For all we know, that object out there is one of their ships. Nixara's skin flashed with rapid pulses of light. Your suspicion is understandable, Captain, but misplaced. The hegemony is very real, and it will kill us all if we do not act quickly. The argument was interrupted by a violent shaking of the entire colony. Alarms blared and emergency lights flashed. The scout has attached to the outer dome, someone shouted from across the command center. It's trying to breach the hull. On the screens, they could see the dark mass spreading across one section of the colony's exterior, seemingly absorbing the material as it went. We're out of time, Nixara said urgently. Lieutenant, we must decide now. Olivia looked from the alien to Captain Fuller, then to the screen showing the colony under attack. She made her decision. I'll do it. Show me how. Fuller grabbed her arm. Lieutenant, this is a mistake. We don't know what will happen to you. We know what will happen if I don't try, Olivia replied, gently removing Fuller's hand. This is my choice, Captain. Nixara led Olivia to a quieter corner of the command center. The alien held out the crystal, which pulsed with an inner light that matched the patterns on Nixara's skin. Hold this between us, Nixara instructed. Focus your thoughts on the need for help, on the location of this colony. I will guide the connection to the fleet. Olivia took one end of the crystal, feeling a strange warmth spread up her arm. Nixara held the other end, those nebula eyes fixed on Olivia's. Ready? The alien asked. Olivia nodded, trying to calm her racing heart. Ready. The crystal flared with brilliant light, and suddenly Olivia wasn't in the command center anymore. She floated in a vast darkness filled with points of light. Stars, she realized, but seen from a perspective no human had ever experienced. She could feel Nixara's presence beside her, not as a physical form but as a consciousness intertwined with her own. Focus, came Nixara's thought, not heard but felt. Direct your mind toward the fleet. Olivia tried to concentrate on the image of ships, on the need for help, on the danger threatening them all. She felt something respond, distant minds acknowledging the call, ships changing course. But then something else intruded on the connection, a cold, hungry presence that seemed to reach for her across the void. The hegemony scout had detected their communication. Break the link. Nixara's thought came urgently.
It senses us.
Olivia tried to pull away, but the dark presence held her, tendrils of cold wrapping around her consciousness. She felt it searching her mind, looking for information about Earth, about humanity's defenses. No, she thought fiercely, fighting against the intrusion. You can't have this. She felt Nixara struggling beside her, trying to protect both their minds from the hegemony's grasp. Together, they pushed back against the cold presence until suddenly, with a sensation like glass shattering, the connection broke. Olivia gasped, finding herself back in the command center. She fell to her knees, the crystal dropping from her numb fingers. Nixara stood swaying, skin pulsing with erratic patterns of light. Did it work? Olivia managed to ask through the pounding in her head. Did we reach the fleet? Yes, Nixara replied, voice strained. They are coming. But the scout knows now. It will accelerate its attack. As if confirming the alien's words, another violent shake ran through the colony. Warning lights flashed across the control panels. Hull breach in Section 3, someone shouted. The scout is inside the colony. Captain Fuller rushed over, helping Olivia to her feet. Are you all right? What happened? We reached the fleet, Olivia said, still trying to clear her head. But the hegemony detected us. It's coming for us now. Fuller's face was grim. Then we fight. All security personnel to Section 3, defensive positions. The next hour was chaos. The hegemony scout moved through the colony like a living shadow, absorbing everything in its path. The combined human and sovereignty defenses slowed it down but couldn't stop it completely. Olivia found herself fighting alongside Nixara, using one of the alien energy weapons to push back the darkness whenever it approached. The weapon fired pulses of brilliant light that seemed to hurt the hegemony entity, making it recoil temporarily before advancing again. The fleet? Olivia shouted to Nixara as they fell back to a new defensive position. How much longer? 20 minutes, the alien replied, those strange eyes now a color Olivia had never seen before, a deep, burning red. We must hold until then. They retreated to the central dome, gathering all survivors there for a last stand. Of the 12 humans who had come from Earth, only 7 remained. The others had been taken by the hegemony scout, absorbed into its darkness. One of the sovereignty representatives was gone as well, leaving only Nixara and Zevnar. Seal the doors, Captain Fuller ordered as they entered the central dome. Her face was streaked with dirt and blood from a cut above her eye. Use anything you can to barricade them. They worked frantically, pushing furniture and equipment against the doors. Dr. Wells, one of the survivors, worked with Zevnar to set up the last of the energy shields around the perimeter of the room. The shield won't hold for long, Wells warned. Maybe 10 minutes at most. It doesn't need to hold forever, Nixara said. Just long enough. They could hear the hegemony scout moving through the corridors outside, a strange whispering sound like millions of voices speaking just below the threshold of hearing. The temperature in the dome dropped. The cold of space pressed against the windows of the small patrol ship. Lieutenant Olivia Keller yawned and checked her instruments again. Another quiet day in the Kuiper Belt. Nothing ever happened out here, just rocks and ice floating in the darkness. Olivia had been on patrol for 3 weeks now. She missed Earth, real food, and talking to people who weren't just voices on a radio. Base, this is Patrol Ship 7. All clear in Sector 4. Nothing to report, she said into her comm unit. Copy that, Lieutenant Keller. Continue standard sweep, replied the bored voice from Earth Command. Olivia sighed and adjusted her course. The ship hummed as it moved between the distant, icy objects at the edge of the solar system. Her job was simple. Watch for illegal mining operations and keep an eye out for anything unusual. In 5 years of patrols, nothing unusual had ever happened, until today. Her radar screen beeped. Olivia sat up straight, suddenly alert. A new object had appeared, moving fast. Too fast for a mining ship. Too big for a probe, Her heart beat faster as she checked the readings again. Base, I'm picking up an unidentified object in Sector 4. It's big, about the size of a destroyer, and it's not one of ours. She sent the data back to Earth. Stand by, Lieutenant, came the reply. Tension now clear in the operator's voice. The object slowed and then stopped, hanging in space about 10 kilometers from Olivia's ship. It was like nothing she had ever seen before. The vessel was sleek and black, seeming to swallow the light around it. No visible engines. No windows. Just smooth, dark surface that hurt her eyes when she tried to focus on it for too long. Base, are you seeing this? Olivia asked, her mouth dry. Affirmative. Hold position and attempt no contact. Reinforcements are being dispatched. But before Olivia could acknowledge the order, her communications screen lit up. Someone, or something, from the black ship was calling her. Olivia hesitated, her finger hovering over the accept button. Orders said no contact, but this was first contact with what had to be an alien species. How could she ignore it? With a deep breath, she pressed the button. The screen flickered to life. Olivia gasped. The figure on the screen looked almost human, but with skin the color of a blue summer sky. The skin seemed to glow from within. The alien had delicate ridges where a human would have eyebrows, and eyes that shifted colors like pictures she had seen of space nebulae, swirls of purple, blue and green. Your vessel has entered restricted space, Olivia said, trying to keep her voice steady and professional. But then, without thinking, she added, You're not what we expected. The alien's face changed slightly, those strange eyes narrowing. And what exactly did you expect, Lieutenant Keller? Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. How did this being know her name? The alien spoke perfect English with no accent she could place. I'm Ambassador Nixera of the Stellar Sovereignty, the alien continued. Your comment on my appearance will cost your species dearly. The screen went black before Olivia could respond. She sat frozen in her seat, heart pounding. What had just happened? What had she done? With shaking hands, Olivia sent an emergency signal to Earth Command. Base, I need to speak to the Admiral immediately. We have a situation. The next 48 hours passed in a blur. Olivia's ship was ordered back to Earth at top speed. The moment she docked at the orbital station, armed guards escorted her to a shuttle bound for the planet's surface. No one would tell her anything, but their grim faces told her enough. Something bad was happening. The shuttle landed at a military base somewhere in the mountains. Olivia was rushed through underground corridors until she reached a large room filled with screens and busy personnel. At the center stood Admiral Grace Porter, her face tight with worry as she spoke to what looked like government officials on the main screen. She's here, someone said, and everyone turned to look at Olivia. Admiral Porter nodded and ended her call. She walked over to Olivia, her steps quick and purposeful. Lieutenant Keller, tell me exactly what happened out there. Every detail. Olivia swallowed hard and recounted her encounter with the alien ship and Ambassador Nixera. When she mentioned her comment about the alien's appearance, Admiral Porter closed her eyes briefly. And that's when the alien said my comment would cost our species dearly. Olivia finished, her voice small. Admiral, what's going on? Porter pointed to the main screen. It now showed a view of Earth from space, but something was wrong. 17 massive ships, identical to the one Olivia had encountered, now orbited the planet like dark moons. They arrived 6 hours ago, Porter said. Every major city on Earth is now under one of those ships. They've sent a message to every government simultaneously. She pressed a button, and the alien's voice filled the room. Your representative has committed a grave transgression against sovereign protocol. The penalty is subjugation or extinction. You have 3 Earth rotations to decide. The room fell silent. Olivia felt her legs grow weak. What does that mean? She whispered. What did I do? We don't know, Admiral Porter replied. But you're the only human who's spoken with them directly. That makes you our best hope for figuring this out. A young officer rushed into the room. Admiral, they're broadcasting again. The screen changed to show Ambassador Nixera's face, those color-shifting eyes somehow seeming to look directly at Olivia, despite the broadcast being sent worldwide. We wish to speak with Lieutenant Olivia Keller. She will present herself as Earth's representative within 12 hours, or we will begin our judgment. The broadcast ended. Every person in the room turned to stare at Olivia. It seems you've been drafted into diplomacy, Lieutenant, Admiral Porter said grimly. The fate of our world now rests on whatever you said or did out there. Olivia felt the weight of billions of lives settle onto her shoulders. All because she had noticed an alien's appearance. All because of one thoughtless comment. "I'll do whatever it takes to fix this," she said, straightening her back. "Just tell me how."